This is Levi Kelly, DCE Junior Archivist, Records Intake and Digitization. I've been assigned to a long-term conversion run for the Global Archive and Classification Division. The archive here is immense. What's being processed isn't one format. It's decades of analog collection. I will read what's on the page, what's on the label, and what the record says it is. Beginning digitization transcription now. GACD Digitization Bay 4, Session 2-7. Source medium, converted field packet, mixed format, initial field report conversion to CRE instance file. Physical condition, digital reconstruction from partial field logs. Several sections appear normalized by archive scrub standards. Minor routing edits visible. Case designation, CRE-LIM-URB-HAL-PHN-DIS-2741. Common handle appears in margin as the playground. Handle marked unofficial and discouraged. Status line reads active. Location mechanism, boundary-mediated continuity threat. Primary driver, LIM, liminal threshold system. Dash stack follows in canonical order. URB, HAL, PHN, DIS. Numeric anchor, 2741. Confidence state, provisional, field classification. CLO review requested. Escalation grade currently E3, denial posture. E4 interdict authorized on activation surge. Stability band, STB-2, meaning appears stable until acknowledged or entered. Minimum access, level 3 field read. Audio review flagged SAL-VLT controlled exposure. Routing custodians include GACD indexing, FEC field acquisition, ESB mechanism confirmation, OASCS scenario control, and CID with PCC-DB for public coherence control. Naming discipline note. The document states that titles are not authoritative. Codes persist. UCS exists to route resources safely, not to sound impressive. Origin note. This packet is a Directorate conversion of a legacy format field report into a formal CRE instance file. Deviance instances are labeled CRE-major-modifiers-numeric anchor. Organizational documents retain DCE prefixes. Per Directorate scrub guidance, several legacy terms were replaced during conversion. Examples listed include older anomaly labels and obsolete response terminology. They have been normalized to Directorate language. Terminology conversion is part of the archive hardening process. Observed facts only, no narrative expansion. Administrative response metadata. Reporting element. FEC field exploration element. Legacy call sign retained in alias map. FAU-9. Latch key. Primary authors. Field Agent I, Marlowe. First entry. Narration capture lead. Field Agent M. Reyes. Medical and witness interface. Field Agent K. Sato. Instrumentation and tether oversight. Remote support listed. ESB liaison. Dr. N. Halden. OASCS scenario analyst. C. Voss. GACD intake initiated packet. CLO consult requested. CID and PCC-DB notified for possible public pathway ignition. Initial call receipt timestamp, October 20th, year redacted, 21:18 local time. Arrival on scene, 21:56. First boundary breach, 22:14. Primary location listed as municipal playground adjacent to an elementary school. County name withheld. Urban-modifier applied due to civilian adjacency. Weather baseline clear, 6 degrees Celsius. Wind 2 to 4 kilometers per hour. Observed deviation, dense fog wall present at boundary. No measurable humidity gradient across the boundary. Instrumentation reliability noted as poor inside the fog. Immediate public cover posture listed as industrial coolant spill and airborne irritant. Municipal emergency management coordination active. Perimeter established. 200 meters soft cordon. 50 meters hard cordon after the first loss event. Executive summary. CRE-2741 presents externally as a municipal playground. Upon crossing the boundary, the environment expands into a non-Euclidean liminal domain. Boundary described as a dense fog membrane. Crossing produces immediate sensory distortion, navigation drift, time sense instability, and progressive identity degradation. Interior environment presents continuous in-use cues. Examples listed: swing chains moving, footsteps on gravel, distant laughter, no visible occupants. A low-frequency growl is intermittently audible beneath the ambient soundscape. The document describes a repeatable audio escalation cycle, sequence recorded as follows: faint laughter, overlapping play noises, escalation to screaming at harmful amplitude, then abrupt silence. This silence period is labeled hush phase. Hush phase correlates with increased disorientation, also correlates with tactile tugging on equipment anchors and team tether lines. Environment expresses multiple hazard nodes functioning as cooperating subsystems. The consistent operational outcome is separation. Separation from exit cognition. Separation from team formation. Separation from stable autobiographical identity. Operational conclusion recorded by field team. Single modality anchoring fails. Personnel must maintain what the document calls triple tether doctrine. 3 anchors: physical tether, device reference, self-index loop. The document emphasizes that this configuration is not optional. It is treated as a survivability constraint for liminal environments expressing identity tax markers. UCS doctrine reference included. A stable classification code prevents repeated exposure caused by incorrect handling assumptions. Discovery context. Initial response triggered by multiple civilian emergency calls. Reports included children screaming in the park. Another caller reported someone growling under the swings. Multiple witnesses described a fog that would not move. One call transcript fragment included caller reports, quote, "My son is calling me from inside the fog." Preliminary screening indicates voice mismatch with the caller's family. Possible mimic lure behavior. 2 local patrol officers entered the fog at approximately 8:41 p.m. Body camera footage produced 3 minutes and 17 seconds of usable content. Recording then degraded due to audio saturation and visual occlusion. Final recorded segment shows both officers running toward audible laughter. Verbal pursuit commands captured. The final frame of footage shows a swing seat drifting into the camera frame from the left. Movement direction appears inconsistent with officer travel path. County Emergency Management requested federal anomalous event support shortly after 9 p.m. FEC dispatched the previously listed field team for first entry assessment. Boundary behavior. The fog boundary is referred to as the edge. Estimated thickness approximately 2.2 to 2.5 meters. Measurement derived from visual estimate. LiDAR instruments failed beyond roughly 0.8 meters penetration. Parallax inconsistency recorded. Playground structures are visible behind the fog at oblique viewing angles. However, when facing directly toward them, they disappear. The report suggests possible geometry shear or attention-dependent occlusion. Swing motion observed despite wind conditions that should not produce oscillation. Footstep sounds persist continuously. No physical footprints leading into or out of the area. Internal environment observations. Immediate subjective temperature drop reported by all personnel. Baseline temperature 6 degrees Celsius. Perceived temperature approximately 1 degree. No measurable skin temperature change recorded. Mild nausea reported within 2 minutes of entry. Auditory cues described as non-physical panning. Laughter heard moving left to right without corresponding movement source. Perspective distortion observed. Primary play structure appears farther away than geometry should allow. Distances appear to expand when personnel maintain visual focus or engage verbally. Tether tug events recorded. Measured force equivalent 2 to 3 kilograms. No external pulling agent confirmed. Tugging correlates with growl events and hush phase timing. Identity markers recorded. One agent reported nearly forgetting their middle name. Post-exit debrief contained an anomalous roster statement. Quote, "Did we bring the fourth?" Dispatch records confirm a 3-person entry team. That note appears underlined in the archive copy. Observed facts only. Field observation log. Condensed timestamps. 2206. Anchor spool deployed to perimeter stake. Line tension verified. 2210. Baseline vitals recorded. Continuous narration initiated. 2214. Entry through fog boundary. Immediate nausea and cold perception. 2216. Laughter begins. No visible source. 2217. Swing structures visible approximately 20 meters ahead. Seats oscillating in counterphase. 2219. Olfactory intrusion reported. Sunscreen and hot rubber odor. 2221. Low-frequency growl audible beneath gravel surface. Vibration sensation reported in teeth. 2223. Perspective stretch observed. Primary play structure appears farther than geometry allows. 2224. First tether tug event recorded. Force equivalent 2 to 3 kilograms. 2225. Footsteps begin circling team clockwise. Thermal scans detect no corresponding body heat. 2227. Laughter amplification. Agent Reyes heart rate recorded at 128. 2228. Self-index phrase recited without prompt. Agent reports momentary identity slip. 2230. Hush phase 1. Total silence for 11 seconds. Personnel report pressure behind the eyes. 2231. Hopscotch grid appears on gravel surface. Markings not previously present. Numerals reversed. 2233. Attempt made to mark hopscotch grid with chalk. Chalk does not transfer normally. Residue described as oily. 2234. Screaming amplitude spike. Estimated above 110 decibels. Agent Reyes drops to one knee. Repeatedly says, "Stop! Stop!" 2235. Child silhouette observed within fog depth. Subject turns toward team. No facial detail visible. 2236. Visual duplication event. Primary tether line appears as 2 identical lines. Physical inspection confirms only one line exists. Visual duplication persists 38 seconds. 2238. Team initiates withdrawal. 2241. Exit achieved. Continuous line contact maintained. Medical note. Agent Reyes experiences emesis after exit. Contents include sand-like particulate inconsistent with prior food intake. Sample preserved under evidence custody. Distributed hazard nodes. The document proposes the environment operates as a place mechanism composed of cooperating subsystems. 8 nodes currently documented. Node 1. Swing set. Classified as kinetic proxy and attention capture mechanism. Swing motion suggests alternating occupancy weight despite no visible occupants. Close approach produces sensation of being watched from below. Operational risk, personnel fixation. Subjects attempt to stop the swings. This increases dwell time and reduces navigation discipline. Node 2. Footstep loop. Audible running footsteps orbit the team. Breathing sounds included. No thermal signatures detected. Orbit behavior tightens around the first person who speaks. Verbal engagement increases clarity of childlike voices. Operational risk, Pursuit induction. Teams may chase the source. Formation breaks. Separation risk increases. Node 3. Chalk markings. Hopscotch grids and arrows appear after hush phases. Arrows lead deeper into the environment. Stepping inside squares produces dissociation and childhood memory intrusion. Operational risk, behavioral compliance with perceived game rules. Node 4. Edge membrane. Fog boundary does not maintain consistent geometry. Return paths do not align with entry paths. Teams may believe they are moving toward the exit while drifting deeper. Node 5. Growl locus. Low-frequency source localized beneath gravel layer. Correlates with tether tug events and hush phase timing. Personnel reported sensation of something pulling at their name. Operational risk, panic response, and tether failure. Node 6. Audio escalation ladder. Predictable sound progression. Laughter, play noise, screaming, then silence. Screams often contain directive phrases. Examples listed include, "Come back," and "You promised." Hearing protection reduces volume, but not perceived meaning. Audio recordings flagged as controlled exposure. Node 7. Duplicate tether perception. Visual doubling of exit markers or anchor lines. Duplicate appears cleaner and more correct. Attempting to mark or cut the duplicate increases environmental agitation. Operational risk. Personnel follow the false route visually rather than maintaining physical contact. Node 8. Missing roster phenomenon. After approximately 9 minutes exposure, personnel begin losing autobiographical data. Progression listed. Middle names, birthdays, addresses, professional memory, name. Subjects unable to state their name during hush phase exhibit quiet compliance. Description. Subject calmly walks away. Unrecoverable losses recorded in prior events. That phrase appears multiple times. Mandatory survivability constraint. Triple tether doctrine. The document states that the environment attacks perception and self-reference. Therefore, anchoring must be redundant and mutually verifying. Component 1. Physical tether. Minimum length 30 meters. Air midline rated at 9 kilonewtons or greater. Primary anchor stake plus secondary vehicle anchor recommended. Personnel formation described as spoke system. Hands must remain in contact with the line every 30 seconds during hush phases. Quick release mechanisms disabled unless ordered by team lead. Component 2. Device tether. Inertial reference unit broadcasting low power signal. Device issues call and response prompts. If prompts receive replies not originating from team members, immediate withdrawal required. Component 3. Mimetic tether. Self-index loop recited aloud every 90 seconds. Phrase reads, "I am," full name. "Today is," date. "I am outside the playground." "I am holding the line." "I am returning with my team." Resistance to recitation is considered an early identity tax indicator. Withdrawal required. Field discipline note attached. If documentation begins drifting toward meaning, compulsion, or narrative, personnel must stop free text recording and shift to controlled entry posture. Observed facts only. No motives. Closing field note. Sanitized excerpt. The environment does not present as a place that personnel enter. Instead, it behaves like a system that notices observers. The environment then negotiates how much of them it can keep. First, attention. Then, certainty. Then, identity anchors. The report states that triple tether doctrine is the only demonstrated method that returns the same number of personnel who cross the boundary. Appendix section. Naming compliance reminder. Organizational documents retain DCE prefixes. Deviance instances retain CRE prefixes. Driver-first classification prevents repeated exposure due to incorrect assumptions. Legacy terminology is removed during archive scrub processes to maintain internal language discipline. Additional routing references include OASCS, Scenario Containment Authority, and Escalation Posture Enforcement. OASCS doctrine describes containment as behavior rather than location, emphasizing pathway control during active continuity risk events. Archive routing notes confirm the case remains under provisional classification pending topology confirmation. Digitization halted pending review.